it was really early start. When we started, not so many companies use the freelance forces and remotes and alternative workforces all around the world. The first company who specialized on a contractor of record service globally. Solar staff means three most important things: business and payment infrastructure, the technology, everything will be automated. On third hand, to provide really impressive service clients. When they receive the good service, they stay with us for the long time.
Pavel, thank you so much for joining our Startup Growth podcast. You have been an entrepreneur for the last 20 years or so, and you founded SolarStaff and most recently Mellow. Please tell me about those two business models and how did you actually start SolarStaff? What was the idea behind, and how did you find about the problem that you're trying to solve?
Thank you for that first question. When I ran the Solar Staff, before I had a legal practice and my own boutique law firm, and my specialization was legal tech and helping for tech companies with legal issues. And I received a couple of requests how we could manage freelance forces and webmasters and a lot of contractors with small contracts, small amounts of contracts, but huge number of contractors per time. And that was the challenge for legal entities in 2010 and 2011. I find a solution. It was just the legal solution. How to establish a company, how to organize all that contracts, all the legal documents and finance flow. I did it once and second time and third time. On the third time, for the third client, I start to think it looks like a business because I spent 3 months each time, and it was really hard work to establish that and run that type of business. And it is
but a similar process basically for similar type of companies. That's why you thought about, okay, let's do a SaaS business for that, because right now I'm only offering this as a service, but it's like 3 months, but actually I could scale it into a SaaS company because it's like 80-90% similar building blocks. So let's turn my service business into a software business.
Yes, correct. Exactly. It was the same thought in my mind. And when I recognize that problem, I start to think about the creation of my own company, the technological one. On other hand, I was really burning out because of legal practice. It is really not so very light business, and you have to solve not your problems, but problems of all your clients each time. And I decided, okay, I would like to have my own problems to solve. And it was the solution. But Solar Staff appears too early. And it was really early start. When we started, not so many companies use the freelance forces and remotes and alternative workforces all around the world. In Russia, in CIS countries, in Europe, it was just a couple of percent of technological companies who use the freelance forces, especially international ones.
Yeah. Which means that your customer acquisition costs are quite high, because it's very costly to acquire a customer.
And we were the first company who specialized on a contractor of record service. Only
globally, on Russia or where?
Globally.
Okay.
In that time, freelance management systems already were in US, but they act like a SaaS service. But we are an intermediary, companies and freelancers, and we really works like a far shoring, like outsourcing of whole business process of contractor management and payments and so on and so on. So we work like a contractor of record.
Do you only manage the relationship between a business and a freelancer that they already know, or are you also helping the business find freelancers? Because why I'm asking this is because there are several platforms like freelancer.com, upwork.com, etc. to help me understand what is the difference of what you are doing and what type of problems are you solving better.
We solve only the first type of problems, only the management. We are a tool. We are a service for contractor management, or contractor of act as a contractor of record. And all the times when we start to think we should open marketplace inside our service, we stopped, and it was the right decision.
Why? Why would you stop that?
Because we have no marketplace inside. A lot of our clients are competitors each other, and they bring their contractors who are unique, and they do not play them inside.
They don't want to share them.
Yeah, that private talent cloud for them. And we act like this kind of solution, and that allows us to increase the trust between customers, our service, and freelancers. So we do not push them, but we help them to manage their relationships, to manage and solve the conflicts, for example. And we build our customer support and freelance support as a mediation departments. So in our system, less than 0.02% of all the tasks become the conflicts. It really small percentage and small.
Which is good, so that you don't have huge customer support expenses or something like this.
We have a customer support, but not
for
these purposes. So we create the atmosphere of trust for companies and for contractors on other side.
Understood. But what I'm saying, you have less customer support costs compared to other platforms like Upwork, or so, where you have much more disputes.
Yeah.
Okay, please help me understand, what are the main workflows that you are doing for your business, for your clients, for your businesses, in order to have them reduce their admin work, compliance, and so on. So maybe it's like a workflow, it's maybe a payment workflow, maybe there's some kind of contractual NDA workflow, maybe some other workflows which I did not mention right now. Help me understand, what type of workflows are you helping optimize the business for?
When Solar Staff appears, and the first couple of years, we focused on the legal procedures. We automate all the invoicing, contracts, and reporting system, and we build that really fully automated. Because of that, we really reduce the cost of administration of all these contractors' procedures. After then, we add financial department, financial functionality, and we start to be involved in the settlements, inside the settlements, and we proceed with our own infrastructure, and we aggregate a lot of payment service providers in many regions to cover all that territory, and that allows us to be more cost-effective in international and global payouts. So
because you're doing some payment pooling, like Wise.com, for example, is also doing, I guess.
Yes, it looks like that. It looks like that because we have a lot of money to manage, and our flows allows us to receive reduced fees from the payment service providers. Because of that, we are really cost effective. And the third wave were HR technologies and HR tech, when we start to help companies to be more effective in management of their contractors, and some onboarding procedures. We add compliance service, verification, authentication of the freelancers, and some kind of checks every time, so that helps. And we start to act like an HR tech also. So we start as a legal tech, after the tech, after the HR tech, and all become some kind of mix. But Solar Staff means three most important things: that business and payment infrastructure. We build our own wide group of companies to cover all over the world. And on other hand, that the technology, everything will be automated, because we have to be really competitive with inside and internal procedures inside our clients. On third hand, we have to provide really impressive service that really increase the lifetime of our clients. And when they receive the good service, they stay with us for the long time, and that allows us to increase the income, because we have so much money to spend on the marketing. And we were not so good company in marketing, and we had no skills till the last couple of years in that area. More than 50% of new clients we receive from the word of mouth every day.
Okay, good. And Solar Staff, how did you come up with this name? And what is the meaning behind? Is there a story behind?
Oh yeah, that was the funny story. it should be cloud stuff.
Okay.
But we were established in Cyprus, and during that 2013, cloud was so popular in the names, and everything became cloud. And we have
The name was already taken, I guess.
yeah. And when I start to think, okay, we have 300 sunny days per year and no cloud from the spring till the autumn time. Okay, should be solar stuff. We have no clouds. Yeah. It was just for fun.
But the cool thing is you can make a much better story out of that, because you could say you can hire contractors the normal way and they are good, yeah? Or you use solar staff and you make your contractors shine. So you basically have them from good to great.
I will take.
Okay, just a fun story. For the last year or so, you launched Mello. Can you tell us about how did you come about starting Mello, and what is the logical path from solar staff to launching Mello?
Yeah, between solar stuff and Mello, I think that path starts during the COVID time. Because before the COVID, we started our business in northern part of Europe, and we tried to focus with a side product named slime.com. It was the solar stuff, but with a different color scheme. It was the solar stuff. The same team, the same technology, all the same.
Sure.
And it was a good try. We spent a lot of time and money, maybe 2 million euro or something like that. And during the COVID time, it was failed really, because all industries, events, HoReCa, and film production was just closed in 1 month. And we have no revenue. We have only 1 month or maybe 2 months to fire all the staff and remove everything. It was the headache, really. Yeah. On other hand, we received the possibility to switch into another industries with the solar stuff, and we switched into the online education platforms. They use a lot of contractors and software and game development companies, and we start to see their needs are different. Their needs are not so similar to the needs of the traditional solar stuff users. And that was our first step into the Mello platform, because we start that separation.
What is the difference? Would you need to change something on your product in order to serve this new customer segment better, or is it just positioning and branding that would be different?
Yeah, I will try to explain. In solar stuff, I think settlements is the core. A lot of problems starts with the problems with cross-border payments and settlements between customers and freelancers. And that was the key of the solar stuff system. But in Europe and after in US, we find out that not so big problem for the US companies to pay globally. They use PayPal, they use Wise, they use many different systems, but they have other type of problems. It means compliance problems, onboarding problems, legal documentation problems, that all the routine and the legal stuff and HR tech stuff becomes more and more popular, and we start to think we are contractor of record still, focused on the tax compliance systems, on some support, on some kind of automation of onboarding system, many different things. They were not so important for traditional solar stuff users. And that become the separation point for these two businesses. And that separation has been started at the end of 2021.
And if you look at the compliance, for example, is there a huge difference for the compliance requirements by country? For example, if you have a US company, they have, they need to be compliant with rule 1, 2, 3. And then if you're in the UK, they have like maybe rule 1 and 7 and 8, whatever, which means that you would have to have a country-dependent software product. Is this the case, or is it more like standardized globally, or at least for the Western countries or like Northern America and Europe, for example? Because I just want to try to understand whether it's a standardized product which you can use for a large customer base or whether you need to have lots of regional adjustments to your product.
We have two sides, companies and freelancers. The companies could choose two types of their behavior in relationships with their international freelancers. The first type, we sign the contract on our own rules and we do not care about your side. Your responsibility, we do not care how does it works in your country. For example, we ask you to give us an invoice in English because it is suitable for us, and we do not care about your local rules. But in Latvia, if you are Latvian freelancer, you should issue invoice on local language, and that's the rule. So that's the point of disconnection.
Understood.
In those two ways of doing businesses.
Yeah.
So we are localized a lot of different hard-to-reach countries.
Yeah.
Sometimes that rules are almost similar, but sometimes not. So we focus our attention into those kind of countries when they have that kind of issues or restrictions or some kind of limitations, and we build the system that avoid our customers of the mistakes with that kind of regulations, restrictions, and limitations. So if you try to fill that form of the service request in our system, Mellow, and choose the freelancer from some kind of region with restriction of this type of service, our system do not allow you to make that contract. It will be paid.
Or you could also automatically translate it into Russian or Latvian or whatever, and thereby being compliant.
Yeah, and that we do also. If it could be fixed, but by translation, we will translate. And because we are intermediary inside that deal, so we can issue the documents for that deal to our customer in English, but for our freelancer in Latvia.
So basically, this means that Mellow is more closely a legal tech because you're trying to have this kind of matchmaking for the legal compliance stuff for different countries. How did you acquire the first customers? Because you've grown your Mellow business to quite a big number very rapidly. How did you acquire the first 100 or 1,000 customers? What type of key lessons did you learn from that?
Yeah, the first lesson was if you have the hugest market in the world, you should start with this market. In our field, the largest market is US. For the international freelance force management, if you are not presented in US market, you are not a leader. That's impossible. And if you are not presented, that empty space will be occupied by someone who will remove you in 2 steps from your very calm markets. That's the rule. And after our fail with that previous product, side product, we have that experience. So that was the first rule. The first rule, go to US market first. On other hand, we spent 2 years in discovery. We make a lot of researches by ourselves, by agencies. We hire the lawyers. We pay them the fortune for all that adaptation of our rules and documents to the US market. We spend a lot of time and money in discovery. And when we recognize so huge competition on that market, and we recognize that in that room, not only one elephant, the group of the elephants, and we are the small monkey between all of them, and we have no chances for competition in advertisement. No chances. We have no chances for competition.
Because you are bootstrapped and the other ones are VC funded, or why is that?
Because their marketing budget twice bigger than our turnover.
Yeah, and their prices are also bigger than yours, or the same pricing?
No, pricing are different. Sometimes we are most cost effective. For example, when you work with cheaper freelancers from the far away countries, we are really cheaper for you and really more cost effective. When you start to work inside the US with a huge amount of each contract, I think the fixed price, because we have a percentage, they have a fixed price. The lower amount of percentage will win.
Understood. If that's the key insight related to your pricing model, that actually you have a great value proposition of being cheaper. If somebody wants to work with India, Pakistan, or whatever type of freelancers, great. Then you would be winning on price, assuming that all the functionalities and so on would be similar of your platform relative to your competitors. But if you are having like freelancers as a US company in the US, which I guess there will be also like millions of freelancers, your value proposition would not be existent, and then therefore your competitors would get the deal. Why are you not making a two-way pricing model where you say like, okay, if you're a US company and you have like freelancers in the US, pricing model A, and if you are working with international guys, pricing model B. Therefore, you would have like two value propositions and thereby increasing your transaction volume via your platform and therefore also revenues.
Yeah, that requires a lot of changes in our core business model, and because we have a huge structure with a lot of resellers, that really difficult for us. But we are on the way of re-establishment of our business infrastructure inside the US, and that allows us to turn into competition inside US market. But now we are really niche product for shoring. For us, it means if you have contractors from hard to reach countries, we will be better. We will be the best solution because we have our own infrastructure in that countries, and we are more reliable and more stable solution for these kind of contractors in these kind of countries. To step inside that competition in US market, I think we will be there in half a year or something.
Yeah, because you told me like 2 minutes ago that you need to win the US market in order to be one of the global players. This leads me to my next question. I mean, there are like at least 2 or 3 bigger venture-funded companies who are doing something similar, at least from my perception. And they are venture-funded and they are valued at like $1 billion or whatever. How do you compete with those guys? Because they're spending shitloads of money on advertising, improving their product, marketing and sales. How do you compete with those guys in terms of customer acquisition and offering a value proposition so that the businesses say, okay, we would rather use Mello for our contractor management for freelancers?
Yeah, we have the strategy for that. The first of all, we find our own niche where we are better. And we start to work with the companies for whom that the key point. As we discussed before, the companies who use a lot of freelancers from hard to reach countries choose our service. After then, we provide the highest possible quality of service, the most reliable solution for them, and we start the word of mouth. In that,
how do you maximize word of mouth? Let's assume through your network.
Our customer recommend to their friends our solution like a pill from the very difficult illness, because the cross-border payments and cross-border relationships with the hard-to-reach countries is really painful. But that's really good competitive advantage when you can use that kind of guys, the cheaper ones, instead of more expensive ones. So we are really cost-effective solution. And
understood. How do you incentivize the businesses to do this? For example, if you are referring a customer, you are getting whatever X% of the first 12 months revenue, or you are getting a discount on whatever we are charging you, or is there no financial incentive for doing the referrals? It's just a friendly...
We have referral and affiliate programs. That's our main channel. So we push. But on other hand, we also use the freelancers as our
multiplicators.
Ambassadors. Because when we provide huge quality of service for the freelancers, they start to work with the new customers and tell them, oh guys, no headache, use that platform. And we receive more and more customers from the freelancers.
And if you look at your customer structure for the businesses, is it more like SMB companies, or do you also serve enterprise customers? And if you're serving enterprise customers, do they have some kind of other solution requirements compared to the SMBs?
Yeah, our users are mostly small enterprises and medium-sized businesses. Not so often we work with smaller businesses because we are really much more effective when you use a lot of freelancers, more
Okay.
than 50, for example, more than 30. That allows you to see all the economic perspective of using our service. And that's why we have the special features inside our platform for the huge companies. For example, we have accounts for multiple legal entities. We have possibilities to add a lot of users with different rights and roles and to watch on each other, to control the budget, and etc., etc., etc. And that are not the functionality for the small business.
Can you walk me through roughly the economics? So, for example, you have some kind of revenue share model, basically based on the amount of payment volume that the business is sending to the freelancers, correct?
Yes.
So, if you are, for example, if the businesses on average are hiring 50 freelancers over a year, they are hiring them for a full year period. So, or are you talking just 50 freelancers and most of them are actually only working for 1 or 2 months? So, what is the full-time equivalent?
No, we are not talking about the full-time equivalent. We are talking about the 50 contracts.
The 50 contracts.
50 amount of 50 contractors per year. The duration is not so important. It could be 1-day contracts.
Understood. Okay. Can you walk me through your plan or idea of how you can grow the business from right now? I think that your business is currently making like 10 million annual revenue. Is this correct? Or is it more like, which is a great number. What is your plan step by step, let's say 4 or 5 steps that you need to do based on your current knowledge in order to reach like 30 or 50 million annual revenue?
Yeah, first of all, now we are focused on launching the small free of use products to increase our visibility in US market for that kind of audience. And after then, we have the plans to convert them into paid users. So if we cannot compete with advertisement or PR or SEO, we will compete with them. We do not want to be the cheapest solution. That's not good way of doing business. But we would like to give an additional value for our users. For example, now we discover the process of hiring the new freelancer. How does it work in US? And we find out, 42% of all contractors was found by the personal network of the person who hired them. It means, I try to remember, I work before with someone. The second step, I start to discover my network in the Facebook, in LinkedIn. It depends on the type of the contractor. Sometimes it is Facebook or Instagram, sometimes in LinkedIn. It depends. It means my personal network. After then, if I cannot find, I publish something in my personal networks and ask that the power of social network to help me. And on that step, almost half of each freelancer will be found. So we create the software solution that automates that type of service, that help you to write down the description of what you actually are looking for, your service request. After then, give you the link to your social networks and collect the responses and make the comparable table for you.
Understood,
And that's free of charge. You can use it. And we have some small products in the future. The fair pricing models, for example, if you would like to understand how fair the price of the freelance work is, we will help you. It's just...
I mean, and you're looking for building some kind of product features that help you get clients in, which is because you don't want to invest them lots of money on paid ads. And then still you are trying to convert those free users into paying users by basically communicating your value proposition that you are the most cost-efficient way to manage your freelance contractors, at least internationally for now. You told me I don't want to spend too much money on advertising. What if VC fund or private equity fund would come along and say, Pavel, we have 10 million, 20 million, we would like to invest into your company. Would this help you grow much faster? And would this actually be helpful in order to become number one? Because I always believe whatever business you are starting, whatever problem you're solving, there's always only a limited time where you have a window of opportunity, because it's always about speed of you learning things, adjusting things, building something new, and then going through the product learning cycle, marketing learning cycle again. Something changes, and you exploit those opportunities. If you are competing against other venture-funded companies who have raised like hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're competing with them, it's like you are trying to box at Olympics, and you are the guy that says, yeah, I'm totally homemade. I trained myself, and I was the local hero over here. And then there are some others who had Mike Tyson as partner and coach or whatever, and you're trying to fight against those. So what is your take on that? Is this actually a smart move in your position to think about, okay, let's raise some external money just to become much, much faster and then grow faster? Of course, you need to be scaling capital efficiently. Yeah, I mean, it would be stupid if you're just wasting the money and then not getting a good return on investment. Yeah, because that's totally stupid then. But is there a way where you see like, okay, actually we need to move much faster and we are not able to finance this from our operating cash flow?
You're right. If you have enough funds, if you have enough resources to speed up your growth, it will work. But you have to know where that
we have to spend the money.
Points, how
Yes.
to spend that money,
Yeah.
on what,
Yes.
and when we will launch that product. It will be in September, October this year, and we will understand the first funnel, conversion rates, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
We will be ready, and we have 2 more products in software in development stage. So we will be ready for scaling that teams to increase and speed up our procedures of growing and turn from organic growth to well-managed growth. But I think it will happen next year. Now we are not ready yet.
Yeah. What role does AI play, do you think, in optimizing your business model? Because as we spoke before, it's mainly compliance matchmaking, which, for example, you gave this example with Latvia, where you are required by local law to have this in Latvian language, which you could use, for example, whatever, ChatGPT or another translation service for translating a contract. Of course, there might be some errors in it because the translation is not perfect. But I mean, even if you're hiring a human, translation is not perfect. Are there any process steps during this compliance chain for the different matchmakings, like US, Latvia, Germany, Latvia, UK, Pakistan, whatever? I don't know. There might be always between this matchmaking some kind of potential compliance issues, which you then, of course, would think about. Is this actually a big connection that we need to solve for? Because, I mean, if nobody from UK is hiring people from Zambia, for example, I mean, you don't need to invest like 50K in the product adjustment for that, because that's nonsense. But like, for example, US might be a big link, or US Germany might be a big link, or US Switzerland might be a big link, where you could drive lots of freelance contractual volume, because this is the key metric that you need to drive, because your revenue model is based on that. Are there some specific steps where you think like AI, like either content generation or OCR or some kind of visual computing or whatever, might be helpful? Or would you rather say, no, basically this is just normal programming where you do some baby automations and that's it? And what are your competitors doing in that sphere?
Use AI to simplify the workflow for our customers, and that allows them to use our language instead of filing the forms. The natural language is the easiest way to fill all the forms, just ask and answer the question. And that the most important changes that AI brings to us, that conversion of user interfaces from the filling the forms into the conversation type of interfaces. And we are on the way of using it. We are not there yet. but we work a lot.
And the team is fully remote, or do you have some office where most of the employees are located?
We have the headquarters in Cyprus, in Limassol here. We have an office in New York, in One World Trade Center, and we have an office in London, in Hong Kong, in Amsterdam now.
With local workforces, or do you just have the
workforces? Okay. And I think at least 30 or 40% of our team are remote.